On this episode, we talk about a show I was obsessed with, a question comes in from a friend in college, and I talk about a videographer that I love. Hey everybody, this is Todd B from Tennessee, and welcome to Finish Friday, the show where we help you do better creative work. And one of the things I like to do a lot is spend time thinking about what makes a creative person creative. Like, what gets us to the point where we're sitting around thinking about ideas, maybe we'll write a book, maybe we'll make a video, maybe we'll do something. What happens to flip that switch and then turn us to the point where all we're doing is making stuff? And when I was thinking about this, I was remembering a time when I was in college and I would spend my weekends watching literally 8 hours of The Simpsons. Do you understand what that means? That means like I would watch 7 hours of The Simpsons and then I would say, you know what? Yeah, I could probably stand a whole another hour, and I would get so involved in that show, and needless to say, I didn't create much work at the time. It was only when I moved across the state, joined my then girlfriend and now wife at her school, that I began to emerge as a creative person. I wrote more. I joined the newspaper. I started putting my thoughts on paper more often, and I developed this habit of writing things down. And as I think about this whole creative process, I think the one thing we overlook a whole lot is environment. You have to get yourself around the people and the places that inspire you to create on a daily basis. And for me, it was traveling across the state to be with a woman I loved, because I knew I wanted to provide for her, and I knew that writing and making stuff was the best way to do that. And now that's the life I lead. So if you're sitting here today and you're wondering, man, why can't I make better stuff? Why can't I do more? Why can't I create better things? My advice to you is get in that environment to help you create, because at the end of the day, your willpower gets empty. But if you're in the right environment with the right people, you make better stuff and you do it more often. Back outside again. I like that. Francis is behind me, wandering around somewhere. And this week's question of the week comes in from an old college friend, Tierney Heisinger. Tierney, if you're watching this, which I hope you are, I love you. I miss you. Let's hang out. But Tierney asks, I need to get back into music. How do I find the passion after school kind of ruined it for me? And you know, this is funny, Tierney, because like the theme of the show, right, is environment. And so I think about you being in school, and I remember that time where the music department kind of crushed it out of you. And I know what that was like for you, and I can remember a very specific incident that we're both thinking about right now, where you had kind of a really tough time understanding why things were so hard and why you couldn't kind of get that passion and get the desire that you wanted to get for the music. And so I think it comes back to putting yourself back in a place where you're regularly exposed to music again. You know, I know for you it was classical. I know you have an amazing voice, and so I think it's getting in a place where you can be around music and around musicians, right? So that every day you're exposed to what does it take to be in the music industry? What does it take to find a job that I love that involves these elements that I want to get into? And so if it's me, I'm trying to meet people in Nashville. I'm trying to go to like music conferences or whatever. I'm, you know, attending events where I might run into somebody or a new circle of friends that can expose me to a different world. And I think about all the times that, you know, I had bumps in my career. It was because I usually met someone who told me something I didn't know. And so I can't like sit here and prescribe, oh yeah, you need to get XYZ job. I think it comes down to finding the right people that are going to help you flourish, because I know you deserve it and I know you can do it. And I think it's just a matter of tweaking that environment just a little bit. This week's artist spotlight goes on the man behind the camera right now. It goes on Ryan Hemlock. Ryan and I met, I guess, a couple years ago. You know, he reached out to me on Twitter and said he liked my work. And so we've kind of been in communication for that time. I finally brought him on board to do some video for me after I've seen some of the things that he did on his own initiative. And now my man Ryan, it's time for him to go to school and learn about the world and do some new things. And although he's still going to be working with me, he's taking this huge initiative to go to school. And the thing about school is that it costs money. And I know, like, I asked about donations on last week's show, but I'm going to ask for it again. If you have ever enjoyed this show, if there's been a piece of it that you like, if there's been an episode that you love, if there's been a sentence that I've said that's changed your life, let's go ahead and thank Ryan for that right now. I will, of course, leave his link to download or donate for his school if you want to hop in there and throw in a couple dollars for my man to do school and keep the show coming to you for free, because this show is free. I do it every week just out of love. And so every once in a while, I gotta ask you to hook my man up. Ryan is down there. Give him a few dollars, help the man go to school, and help us both continue to do what we love. That does it for this episode of Finish Friday. Before you get out of here, answer this week's Ask the Audience. What is the one thing you want to accomplish before the end of this year? I'd love to know what you're into. Comment down below. I'll keep in the polls for the first 24 hours, and then I try to answer everybody, but you know, life happens. I hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Once more, this is Todd B from Tennessee, and I will talk with you next week.